My pastor used to say it like this: before you make a decision, consider the end. And I've already considered the end of me stepping out on my wife. I lose the credibility of my entire podcast, all of my church. My kids don't trust me. I lose my best friend. My relationship with God is diminished. And then I don't get there. I could start over, and I thank God for rebounds, and some of you all in a second and third relationship. I thank God that God is a God of a new beginnings, but I don't get 60 years together.
Right.
I don't get 50 years together. I don't get the history. I don't get that. I get child support. I get a little bit of alimony. I get all these different things. That's not the harvest that God ever intended for us. So to me, I'm going to war for our covenant.
Good.
And I'm going to fight for our covenant. And I don't really care, honestly, and I need men to hear that. I don't care what she asked me to do. I'm going to do it. If there is a woman in my life that she don't think that's healthy in my life, that woman will get removed.
That's right.
If it's an employee, they will get put to another supervisor. I don't care if it's a friend, they will get disconnected. Listen, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that she understands she's the most important person in this world to me. Hey, welcome to Doing Life with Ken and Tabitha. So pumped to have you guys with us today. We got a great one for you today. Today's episode is entitled Affair Proofing Your Marriage, what every couple needs to know. I'm glad you're here. She's glad you're here. You're going to be glad that you're here. And here's the deal. We've been married for 25 years, and just because we've been married 25 years doesn't make it easy.
There's
been tons of temptations, principles, parameters. We've been up, we've been down, almost divorced. Now we're best friends. And we've learned a thing or two about making sure that we have longevity. And I just feel like there's some married couples out there that you need this. You need these tools up front, these parameters up front. You really do. And so, are you glad we're still together, baby? What's up?
What? I mean, yes.
Yeah. So, affair proofing our marriage. How important is that to you? I know it's very important. I don't know,
I think it's good. I like the word affair proof. It's something that makes you think. You know, it's not something that you hear every single day. I think there's a lot of things that we do in life. We child-proof things that keep our kids from getting hurt. We put locks on our doors. We have security systems in our home. We do a lot of things to safety-proof our lives.
Right.
And I think this term, how to, what did we say? Affair proof
your marriage.
Yeah, affair proofing. For some reason that, off my tongue. But I think it's good. It's something to think about.
It's the number one thing that will destroy your relationship, I believe. You have the 3 A's, which is abuse, adultery, and abandonment. Probably the most popular one out of that would be an affair. For those people who are believers, the Bible has very strong language as it relates to the context in which we have sex, how it's holy, how it can be unholy, how it's godly, how it's ungodly. But I think that today is more of like, I like what you're talking about. There's like parameters. There's certain things that you need. I think the wrong perspective to have is that I'm good, we love each other, and not realize that you have a flesh and I have a flesh.
Right.
And the flesh unchecked will always go back to sin.
Right.
And no matter how holy you think you are, how in love you happen to be, if you're just going through life without parameters, checks, and balances, you can mess things up.
Absolutely.
You can make a mistake. You can fall into sin. So I don't know. My angle towards life is always that I know me and I know what kind of sinner I can be or who I used to be before I've renewed my mind and given my heart to Jesus. And if I take my foot off the gas at all, I could easily go back there. And so because I'm truthful with me, I'm like, give me parameters.
I think so too. It's easy to think like, oh, that's not me. That's not how I am. I would never do that to God. I'd never do that to my spouse. I'd never do that to my children. So I would never do anything like that. But then it's like, I look at people who, I know people who are good people, good fathers, good husbands, good wives, good mothers, and they have fallen into the trap of adultery. They just...
Well, let's stop right there. Why do you think that is? What are the common reasons that come to your mind?
one of them is what I was saying is that you think that's not for me. That's just not me.
I can never mess
right,
up.
That I can't mess up.
So you actually think a little bit
Right.
higher of yourself than you
Yeah,
are.
you think that's just for sinners. That's just for people who don't have their lives together. That's just for bad people.
Okay.
But good people do bad things. Just good people make dumb decisions. Good people make mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Okay. What else?
I would say a number two would be that we don't live our lives with any safety rails. We don't have parameters. We don't have set things that we will do or will not do to prevent ourselves from getting in that situation. Okay. So, for example, like, male or female friends. I don't have male friends, outside of you. I mean, or outside of you and I going out on date night together, and then we have other couples. Yeah. My male friends are other people, my best friends' husbands, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's a parameter.
Okay.
Who you hang out with in the workplace,
Right.
Parameters, what you watch, what you let into your heart,
Right.
what you let your eyes see, what you listen to, the type of music that you listen to. Are you feeding yourself adulterous music that is putting seeds in your heart to where you will produce a harvest? So I think this is a lifestyle.
Right. So when we get married, and let's talk about it in the Christian context. Now, I personally believe that marriage is God's idea. And so because it's God's idea, you got to look to God to determine what's good and what's not good in a marriage. So if you look to God, he'll give you specific guidelines in the word. And it will say that sex is holy and it's good when it's enjoyed inside of the context of a marriage, a married man and a married woman. Now, we've done podcasts for days about, matter of fact, have you noticed my hat? Have you noticed my hat?
I noticed your hat.
Do you like my hat?
Yes,
Have you all
nice.
noticed my hat?
It's very appropriate for you.
Yes, thank you so much. We were doing a marriage conference in Texas, and there was 3 services. And by the 3rd service, I was, I always make this joke about making married sex great again or making Christian sex great again. Somebody had went home in between services and created me this hat.
It was like a 12-hour turnaround.
12-hour turnaround. I want to give a shout out to
Come
that man in Texas who did that. We got to get some of these for everybody
Absolutely.
else. I actually would probably change to say make married sex great again. But anyway, I'm rocking it right now. Hope you like it. But anyway, what was I talking about? You made me think about my hat.
now because I was trying to think of the guy and his name and the business and all that. And it just took me someplace else. We were talking.
We was talking about the context of sex. So the scripture, all right. So sex has a few things. God gave us sex for procreation so we could be fruitful and multiply. He gave it to us for enjoyment between husband and wife. We can see in the Songs of Solomon, this was something that was enjoyable. And he also gave it to us for intimacy between husband and wife.
He could have gave it to us and we didn't enjoy it. And it was just like, this is just something we have to do if we want to have a baby. This is just something we have to do,
I'm glad he did it the way
but
he did
it. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a
Come
gift.
on, somebody. But anyway, outside of that context, okay, is what we call sexual immorality. Under sexual immorality, we have fornication, we have adultery, we have homosexuality, we have pornography, we have lust, we have so many different things outside. So any sex inside of the marriage context, married man, married woman, it's holy, it's enjoyable, it's good, it's godly. Outside of that context, it's what we call sin. And unfortunately, sin damages anything that it gets its hands on. I mean, anything, you want a good marriage, you bring sin into it, it's going to mess it up. You want a good thought life, you bring sin into it, it's going to mess it up. It's going to mess up whatever it touches. And so when I'm thinking about, adultery and cheating and infidelity, you got to go to God's word. What does God's word say? And God gives us the parameters that when a man and a woman say, I do, the two become one. And what God has brought together, let no man put asunder, and the marriage bed should be undefiled. And so in order to live that out, you have to have parameters and guidelines. So when it comes to affair-proofing your marriage, this is like a class that every married person should take. Even before you get married, you should be thinking about, how do I affair-proof my marriage? When you've been married 5 years, 20 years, how do I affair-proof my marriage? I'm seeing people, they get into adulterous affairs after they've been married for a long time. What happened? They let a guard down. They let a guardrail down. They let a parameter down. They let somebody in that they shouldn't have. They started to allow somebody at work to begin to touch them emotionally. Or they begin to look at something on the internet, begin to lust after something. They felt like there was a need that wasn't being met at home. I mean, we can go down through the list. But one thing that I love about you is that you're a very, very faithful person. And I think that when you get two people in a relationship that's very faithful, I feel like that's where like good sex is. That's where intimacy is and longevity, but it takes work. Your flesh, it's easy to say, well, we've done this. I've been with the same woman for 20 years. We do it the same way. Your flesh is always making up reasons for you to break the command of God and to live by your flesh. But if you live by your flesh, you'll die. The relationship will die. Do you know how many celebrities used to be married to somebody, cheated on their spouse, and now look back and say, man, I wish I had my family back again?
Wow.
I can just name them that I've been watching on social media lately. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah, I was young and dumb and I messed up with her. But now, you know, we share kids together. But if I could go back and do it right, well, I'm trying to help somebody do it right from the beginning, you know? And I wasn't a faithful dude always, you know? I never involved in intercourse, but I did other things that would lead to intercourse. So we can put it all in the realm of infidelity, honestly. And the reason that I wasn't faithful in the beginning of our marriage is because I wasn't faithful enough to God yet. I wasn't faithful in my heart. I got married really for selfish reasons because I thought you were pretty and I wanted you on my arm and I wanted you to cook for me and be with me. And most people—
You wanted me to cook for you?
Yeah, and you came through on that one pretty good for the last quarter century. But if you think about why people— I want my knight in shining armor. A lot of the reasons that we get into these relationships is to fulfill something in us. Only to figure out that marriage is death to self. Because now you got to serve that other person for the rest of your life. And so I didn't know that when we first got married, and I wish I had how to affair-proof my marriage. The first 2 years. I've been good now for 23 years. But the first 2 years, I'm flirting with other women. I'm taking my ring off, going out with my single friends. I'm still in situations that I shouldn't be in. I had to get myself out of some situations. I didn't take it all the way there, but I took it much further than I would ever— I would be embarrassed for people to know how far it went. It's just wrong. Not embarrassed because I'm 23 years removed from it. And that was an old me. But what I'm saying is that, doggone it, I wish I wouldn't have messed up. I wish I would have had this stuff here, and I want to help somebody.
That's so good. You know, I think another reason why people, you know, fall into this trap is because I don't want to say naivety, but maybe like people are unaware, especially, I don't know, I was going to say especially women, but I think men do the same thing, is that they are unaware that other people will try to— some people are attracted to people who are in faithful relationships.
They are.
You know, some people
I'm a hot commodity. I am. I'm a person in authority, a person who's successful, a person who has a beautiful wife. I'm a hot commodity for the plan of the enemy. And the scripture says an adulterous woman seeks for the precious life.
Come on.
That's Bible.
That's the Bible.
And I need to take men to the Bible, because if you look Proverbs, I think 5, chapter 6, 7, 8, you will begin to see that there are certain characteristics of an adulterous woman.
That's right.
Listen, it ain't because you balding, bro.
I want to add a man too.
You got a beer belly, bro.
Yes.
It ain't because you all that. It's because the devil is using that woman to come after all of your destiny and tear up your family and everything that you've worked so hard for. It's not because you're all that. It's not because you're a baller. It's because you have a target on your back. And it goes for both ways.
I want to say that it goes both ways, because there are men like, you know, men will come up and approach you and, you know, actually say things that, you know, when I was younger, men were more, you know, like upfront and like, you know, but now that I'm older, men can, you know, come in and just kind of— and this is women as well. I mean, you know, but it's kind of like they can come in the form of your coworker. They can come in the form of, oh, you know, Pastor Ken, I'm having a problem, you know, with my marriage. Oh, Pastor Ken, you know, my son or daughter, can you pray for them?
Now, I felt like you flipped it back on me, but I thought you was about to talk about you, like how people come to you. You flipped it back on Pastor Ken, but how do men come to you? Tell us. You be out at the grocery store and what they say, hey, how are you? Oh,
yeah,
man, beautiful smile.
I don't have any examples to tell you.
And then they hit you with, are you happily married? Is that what they say?
No. I mean, they have— I mean, people have been bold like that in the past, but listen, I'm not the one.
You're not the one.
And that's my point. I'm not the one. I will shut you down in a minute because I think it's disrespectful to me, disrespectful to my husband and my children and the God that I serve. So don't step to me like that. Like
So your disposition is like, don't talk to me?
My disposition is very kind and everything, but I understand that when people are coming to me, even if like, oh, they're just flirting. Oh, well, he didn't know you had a wedding ring on, or whatever. In my heart, even though I could be kind on the outside, in my heart, I have a set stance that even if it's innocent on their, I don't think there's any, but even if it's seemingly the worldly innocent on their part, if you come at me, you are attacking my family, you're attacking my relationship, you're attacking my God and what I believe in. Don't do that to me. And if you don't have a stance like that, your coworkers, your friends, that person, that just wants you to be their prayer partner or whatever, they will come in and you think that, oh, it's just whatever. No, you have to have that stance. I think it's very important.
Do you know how many women come up to me when I'm out and about?
I don't know, but don't tell me because it will make me angry.
You don't want to know?
I mean, probably none. Listen,
why are you angry?
I would say none because, well, here's me. I don't have a lot of men approach me now. I don't know, maybe I'm older now, but I carry myself in a way like I'll feel like if I feel like I could sense like, he's looking at me. I will just put off a vibe like, don't mess with me. Or somebody will come up and say, hi, how are you today? I'm great. Like
if I seen you out, I'll try to holler at you. She's mad at herself.
I feel like my blood pressure is rising.
I don't know why.
I don't know why I'm disturbed.
Yeah.
But the thought of, listen.
You gonna let me answer my question?
I'm having a lot of hood mentality.
Can you
thoughts
handle the
right
truth?
Now.
Why you gotta hate on the
thoughts.
Ladies? I probably have at least 0 women approach me over the last 20 years. Maybe I put off a stance as well. Like, I think you can almost tell when someone is like...
It's the Tabitha anointing
is that what
you
it
have
is?
just
flowing
I think, from your...
Well, you can tell who's like maybe checking you out or kind of so forth and so on. And you can put off a don't come talk to me kind of thing. And I think that every married person probably needs to have a little be self-aware enough, even in the workplace.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the ministry. Because sometimes the step between a spiritual father and a chick on the side can get very blurry if you're not a person of great integrity. In a spiritual world, when people give you they're telling you their secrets, pray for me, so forth and so on. You got to be very careful with those lines. That's why I'm very much onto my staff. Like, man, be with men, women be with women as much as you can. Somebody come to me, I say, go talk to my wife.
Yeah.
I don't have time for any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you feel like there's a difference when it comes to cheating and having an affair between, as it relates to being tempted to do it, between men and women? What would be a woman's response to having an affair, or what is her most? Women have affairs because of what versus men have affairs because of what? Is there a difference there? Or is there like this common?
Honestly, I don't know. I'll give you my opinion. My opinion has been that I've seen more men have affairs than women. And I've seen that women are, typically women are at home or they're working, they're taking care of the kids, they're tired, they're hormonal. They have all these issues going on that they don't know how to deal with. And there is no sex life between the husband and the wife. And they're not communicating. And the husband is just kind of angry. And he goes out, steps outside the marriage. He finds sexual gratification in another way. So that has been my experience. That's not all of it. Now I do know women who have cheated. But
and why do you think? Is there a common theme of women who cheat?
Of women who cheat. It's hard to say. In my experience, women who cheat has been probably men who are maybe just at a place in life where they just kind of maybe don't have a job or going from job to job to job, not aspiring to do anything. The woman feels like, oh, well, he's not fulfilling his manly responsibilities in the home. He don't pay the bills. He don't take care of things like that has been my experience. And the woman is just like, well, I'm done.
We'd love to hear from you guys. Maybe just comment in real quickly. What are the most common reasons that you see or have experienced of why people cheat? From a man perspective, from a woman perspective, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
And then I will say, sometimes people are crazy. I've seen people the woman is
crazy.
She just crazy. There's
honestly,
no excuse.
That's the most common thing that I've seen. Like, she's not all the way there.
Yeah, I've seen.
She's a little wild.
Yeah.
She's a little loose. She has some childhood trauma.
It's funny.
She don't really love Jesus like that yet. You really can't trust her. Honestly, ain't that true?
It's weird because it's like when I think about the man, I can say, yeah, because it almost feels like, well, this is what a man would do typical. It's kind of not fair and sexist. Like, yeah, this is typical activity of a man, but then the woman, she just crazy, like,
well, it's
bad on both sides. I know it's conversation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I understand it sounds crazy, but in my experience, it's kind of been like that.
Well, I wrote down some of the most popular reasons here, and let me see if this bears witness with any of you guys. Why do people fall into an adulterous affair? Emotional disconnection. They feel unseen, unheard, and unloved. Okay, their emotional intimacy faded, and now they're looking for that to be filled by somebody else. Unmet physical or sexual needs. They feel undesired, rejected, disconnected sexually. So there's sexual frustration. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
And one thing let me just brag on you for a moment. I've seen you do everything to love me in that capacity.
Yeah.
And I think so many times we almost make it like, well, the men need this and the men need that. Like the men are animals, and so the wife is just serving the man's needs. I believe that's a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
I believe that you have sexual needs, I have sexual needs, and we should be meeting each other's needs.
Right.
And so this isn't something that we have to do. This is something that we get to do. And I want to be able to meet your sexual needs at the same time. And I believe that those things should be enjoyment. I think that many times we have it all wrong. But anyway, how about loneliness? Even within the marriage, they feel alone, misunderstood, like roommates. There's a lack of laughter, shared time together. There's this distance that's come about. Unresolved personal brokenness. This is huge. They're cheating because they're trying to escape pain, trauma, insecurity, addiction. This is huge. I think there's a lot of people that have not done the hard work of hard work, and they have not done with their childhood abuse, abandonment, and rejection. And a marriage has a way of pushing those things to the surface. Revenge or retaliation. I think sometimes you can have a spouse that steps out, and then the other spouse then says, well, I'm going to step out on you. And it's like an eye for an eye.
Absolutely.
The lack of boundaries with the opposite sex, friends or coworkers. I think many times we have these coworker friendships and a glass of wine in an inappropriate atmosphere. One thing leads to another thing. And we have to have boundaries. Lack of boundaries, crisis season or a major life change, stress, grief, transition, weakened self-control and judgment, loss of a parent, loss of a job.
Yeah.
And this is why there's a lot of marriages that don't get to 30 years, 40 years, 50 years because they don't know how to do life together. Like when we lost my mom, it makes us get closer.
Yeah.
When we've battled sickness and disease, it makes us get closer. Many times people begin to blame each other for certain things, and Satan turns couples against each other. Immaturity or poor communication skills. Like you have to be willing to sit down and say, is there anything that I can do to meet your needs sexually and in intimacy? Okay, and vice versa. And we talk and we do things that we don't even feel like doing necessarily. Temptation and opportunity, I think, is another. It wasn't planned, but there was no boundaries. There was there was flirting. There was secrecy. There was texting that turned into sexting, and then it crossed the border a long time ago. I always tell people like this: nobody falls into the vagina. It has to be very intentional. You probably showered.
So true.
You had to go rent a hotel room. I mean, you literally went out of your way to cheat on your spouse. I was telling my counselor about this because I was ministering to someone who was coming through an adulterous affair, and I said, I just don't understand. And I was just telling him to help me help them. And he was like, well, when you're when you're having adultery, when you're in an adulterous affair, your whole life is a lie. Ooh. And my counselor's 75 now. And I just thought about that for a moment. He said, your whole life is a lie.
Wow.
What's on your cell phone is a lie. What you're looking at is a lie. Who you're going to meet is a lie. Where you're going out to dinner is a lie. You're telling everybody your whole life is a lie. So one of the things that we have to do is know that adultery and lying, they go hand in hand. And whenever you find an adulterer, you'll find a liar. And if you can commit to be more like Jesus, you won't have an adultery and you won't have no liars either. But something's happened. And there's been this secrecy. There's all these steps. Like you showered, you had a plan, you've been spending money on the side, you got a secret phone. Like you didn't see any red flags, like a whole.
That's why Proverbs talks about the adulterous woman, that her ways lead to death. Like once you get involved in adultery, it's just like you get entangled in this web that you can't get out of. It's just like, it's crazy. Like don't go down that route.
And I give you one more a reason, just selfishness. It's just selfishness, just the lack of integrity. They choose their own desires over their vows, okay? Driven by ego, entitlement, thrill-seeking, I deserve to be happy kind of thinking, okay? And they begin to think me instead of we. And so what's your thoughts about all of those reasons? Anything like jump out to you like, yeah, that's it, or are they all like equal?
I mean, yeah, they're all like, lack of boundaries. We talked about that a little bit. I think that is huge. Immaturity or poor communication skills. Like, we have to talk to each other, and I don't know. I think the last one you talked about, selfishness and lack of integrity. That's just, man, that's a whole problem in itself. Yeah.
Today's word for today's people, narcissism. You find out we all got a little narcissism. We got to overcome by the blood of the Lamb. But the Bible says this in Exodus 20:14. It says, "You shall not commit adultery." It's not a suggestion; it's a command. It's actually one of the 10 commandments. You shall not commit adultery. So if you are a believer, you have to position yourself that I'm not going to do that. I don't care what it looks like, what it feels like, what's going on in my relationship. That's not an option for me. Proverbs 6:32 says, "He who commits adultery lacks sense, and he who does so, he destroys himself." And I've counseled a lot of people over there. And when we say he and she, just know that the principles go vice versa, regardless of your gender. But here's the principle, that you will destroy yourself. You are destroying your soul. You're destroying your purpose. You're destroying even your relationship with God. It's going to be all twisted around just because of some, can I say booty? I don't understand. Like, I want to keep it as real as I can. Like, it ain't that good. It ain't that good. Like what we have for 25 years, it's not like I'm going to get a woman who got 4 boobs. No, she going to have 2. It's not like she got 5 vaginas. No, she's going to have 1. She's going to have what you have. It's not like she's going to have a different hair that I've never seen or different teeth. No, it's just going to be another woman. She has some weaknesses and some strengths, just like you have some weaknesses and some strengths. I just don't understand the people who are like, well, the grass is going to be greener on the other side. No, it's going to be another person, and you're going to bring you into another relationship. They're going to bring them into another relationship. Forget that. I'd rather keep watering 25 years, 26 years, 30 years. And this is what I want young people to know in marriage, that sex gets better the longer you're married if you do it right. You keep hanging out with us. You keep being a part of Doing Life with Ken and Tabitha. Mark my words, sex gets better. Why does sex get better with time? Because intimacy grows. Now we have history together. Now we have communion together. And I think we did a podcast about vision. You got to get a vision of you being old together. I think there's too many people, especially successful men, that they feel like after their wife has had babies, stretched her body, God knows 20,000 different ways, been with him 25 years, helped him get successful. Now he want to go and get another woman that's the age of his wife when he first, that's a mentality. That's like, you got to have a vision. Like I have a vision of us being 70 years old, 80 years old, holding hands together. I saw it on Instagram earlier today. There was this old couple out at the beach, and the woman was just 85 years old, splashing water on her husband. He running all over with his fat self. And they was just talking about, get a vision of like you being, I just saw something, I got to get off Instagram. I just saw something on Instagram where there was a guy who was in his 90s and his wife was right there with him. She was in a wheelchair and he was breathing his last breath. And she was just there and he was just kissing her as he was dying. And as sobering as that is, what it is, and they said in the captions, and I think it was somebody's great-grandparents or grandparents, they've loved each other for 60 years.
Wow.
And this is my grandfather telling my great-grandma how much he loved her on his dying breath.
Wow.
And they were spending these last moments together. Now, when my pastor used to say it like this: before you make a decision, consider the end. Yeah. And I've already considered the end of me stepping out on my wife. I lose the credibility of my entire podcast, all of my church. My kids don't trust me. I lose my best friend. My relationship with God is diminished. And then I don't get there. I could start over, and I thank God for rebounds, and some of you all in a second and third relationship. I thank God that God is a God of a new beginnings, but I don't get 60 years together.
Right.
I don't get 50 years together. I don't get the history. I don't get that. I get child support. I get a little bit of alimony. I get all these different things. That's not the harvest that God ever intended for us. So to me, I'm going to war for our covenant. And I'm going to fight for our covenant. And I don't really care, honestly, and I need men to hear that. I don't care what she asks me to do. I'm going to do it. If there is a woman in my life that she don't think that's healthy in my life, that woman will get removed. That's right. If it's an employee, they will get put on to another supervisor. I don't care if it's a friend, they will get disconnected. Listen, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that she understands she's the most important person in this world to me. And I think you do that for me as well.
Absolutely.
I said a lot. Anything?
No, that was really good. I was thinking when you gave the illustration of the husband on his dying breath, kissing the wife after 60 years of marriage, I think about what us staying together does for our children and our children's children, like our grandchildren. I have a vision of being on my dying bed. I have a vision of me, you die before me. Okay, this is my vision, my dream. Okay, so you die before me because I want to serve you all the days of your life. I want to cook you, make you your sandwich every day of your life if that's what you want. And so I have a vision of me being on my with my dying breath, blessing my children, laying my hands on my great-grandchildren and my grandchildren and my children, and leaving a blessing in the earth for them as I go home to be with the Lord.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't even know how to process that thought. I kind of like us go together. Maybe like Enoch, we just get translated or something. That'd be cool.
We'll get swooped up in the wind together.
I think God's going to honor you in that, though, that I'll go before you, because he kind of told me that, especially as you came back and you overcame cancer, and the Lord began to show with me just how beloved you are to him, and that he wants to give you the desires of your heart. And I ain't planning on going nowhere no time soon. I mean, we're talking about much later in life. Or could it be that you just don't want another woman to have me?
That's very true. Now, that's without a shadow of a doubt.
We were watching the Cosby Show the other night, and Claire was asking Heathcliff, she was like, what did she say? She was like, if I die, were you going to marry someone else? And they went through this whole thing. Well, if I die, and he was like, and she was like, well, what if the woman looks just like me? Would you get married again?
He said no, he wouldn't do it.
And then he said he would if she looked just like you. And she gets mad and says, I'm going to sleep. It's like, hold up.
Well, I understood, because I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere, so you don't have to think about it.
Matthew 5:27, it says, you've heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery in his heart. So before the act of adultery, the undressing, all of those things, it happens in the heart.
Right.
And I was asking my counselor about this years ago, about lust, and he gave me there's three steps to the adultery of the heart. Number one is that you notice. That's not a problem. You notice somebody attractive, you got eyes, okay? Turn away, go somewhere else. Number two is you notice and you begin to meditate, and you begin to dwell on it. Okay, red flag. You should know something's not right here. You went in for a triple take, a quadruple take, you're meditating. But adultery of the heart is that you notice, you meditate, but then in your heart you say, if I could, I would. I would be with this person. If it felt right. It's not saying that I went and we met somewhere. It's saying, but if I could, I would. It's in my heart. That's what we call adultery of the heart. So if adultery begins in the heart, faithfulness also begins in the heart.
Wow.
And so there's just something about a heart that is really transformed by the gospel, and then a mind that has been renewed by the word. I think I'm a product of that. I've been faithful 23 years, no pornography in 23 years, not even flirted with another woman in 23 years. And I cannot say that in the beginning, but I am the product of a transformed heart and a renewed mind, and any person who's listening can have the same.
That's right.
Ephesians 5:25, it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and he gave himself up for her. So I can't speak on your behalf, but for me, my job is to love you like Christ loved the church. And the last time I looked, Christ got on a cross and he gave his life for the church.
Yeah.
So I can give my life for you, meaning that if I feel like you're not meeting a sexual need or a physical need for a season, I'm still dead to what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to figure out how to get us together. But having another woman is not an option.
Right.
It's not an option. It's not an option. And so how to affair-proof your marriage? Here's a few things, all right? Number one, guard your heart and guard your mind. Mm-hmm. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. You got to pay attention to what you're giving your attention to. And that's why I don't watch R-rated movies very much at all. Like, only 1% every once in a while you want to watch something. I say, okay, here we go. Halfway through it, I'm like, so I told you, and then we end up turning it. I don't watch TV mature stuff. It's not because I'm a weakling. It's just that I know that what I see affects what I believe.
Right. I think that goes into, when you're talking about guarding your heart, I say guard your heart with also living a holy lifestyle, sin, period. Keep that out of your life. Because I think people put sin into categories like, oh, adultery, I'm never going to do that, but I might tell a lie. Yeah. And you just got done talking about liars and adultery and how it goes together. And it's just like, I think that's one of the tricks of the enemy too, as it comes to adultery, is that, okay, well, if I can get you to sin and just tell a few lies here and there, then you become a liar.
Right.
Then I can get you to do this, maybe steal here and kind of do, some shady stuff over there. Right. I'm getting you into that realm to where you have compromised your standards. Yeah. And when sin comes in, it is like an infectious disease. Yeah. It will take over everything. Yeah. So a little bit of sin, you don't want even a little bit. Yeah. Live a holy lifestyle.
Number 2 would be invest daily in emotional intimacy. That's huge. Mm-hmm. Asking each other meaningful questions, mm-hmm. sharing your heart, truly listening. Mm-hmm. Emotional distance is many times where affairs begin. Okay. And so you got to make space to kind of talk without distractions.
Absolutely. Even if you have to plan it, daily time together. We usually at nighttime, we have time together before we go to bed just to talk, hang out, or whatever. But those things they have to be intentional because you're not going to do it. Yeah. Life happens.
I was noticing the other day, I'm feeling a little bit distant from you. Mm-hmm. And we had sex. And then I felt closer. So the opposite of it can be true too. Sometimes it's like, well, let's, have sex because we've been emotionally close. Or sometimes you can have sex and you'll feel a little bit closer.
Right.
What I'm saying is that without sex, it's almost like you're just roommates.
Right.
So our advice to you would be have sex and have a lot of it, because that is the one thing that really keeps the marriage.
I think it's just the secret sauce. Like
we need to what?
If your sex life is great,
make
in
Christian
your marriage,
sex great again.
It's more than half the battle. It's like 85% of the battle.
Yeah.
Just,
I'm like,
the other,
biologically, you're releasing endorphins. There's a level of closeness. There's intimacy. Anyway, number 3 would be keep the sexual flame lit. I guess that's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. 1 Corinthians 7:3 says the husband should fulfill his wife's sexual desires and the wife should fulfill her husband's needs. This is vice versa, right? Number 4, set a strong boundary with the opposite sex. Avoid alone time, emotional venting. Like, I'm not going to go and vent to another woman about challenges we're having in our relationship.
No.
Text, DMs.
No.
I love it. I got so many people in my DMs. I could not get away with anything the way that I live my life. I'm telling you, I don't have people flirting with me, coming up to me, because I have so many parameters.
Yeah.
That you would have to go through a lot. You would be really found out real fast.
Right.
Like I would be found out.
Have people with you. Don't go a lot of places alone.
You got all my passwords. My kids got my phone. Everybody. I got my team. People got my stuff. I just had somebody just 5 minutes ago had my phone. I was like, what you doing? He's like, well, I'm setting this up for you. I'm doing this all for you. I was like, man, all my passwords, I'll get those for you. They're in the cloud somewhere. I'm like, I don't even know.
You just blew somebody's mind right now.
In which way?
They're like, oh my gosh, they're so protective, and somebody would know their business and who's coming into their phone, and why would somebody be able to look in, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's safe. That's safe.
Yeah.
For me. Anyway, number 5, we live with full transparency. Aha! We went right
there.
There it is. I don't have any secrets. I don't have hidden phones. I don't have hidden bank accounts. I don't have hidden relationships.
Right.
What do you think about that? Like, just a no hiding culture. It invites accountability, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I'll give them a few more. Surround yourself with godly and honest friends. The scripture says, whoever walks with the wise will become wise. Okay. Renew your mind daily with God's truth. Okay. Talk about temptation before it becomes an action, you know?
I think that's something that, people need to do more,
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
It depends on how you do it.
Yeah. And I would say even from the point of like, there have been not a lot, but there have been a couple of times, I can remember maybe 2 times in our 25 years of marriage that I've come to you and been like, babe, stay away from her. She likes you. Like, from that perspective, like, hey, just trust me. She likes you.
Okay.
And you listen to me. So those are things that, just communication.
Do you think it's okay, like, if a husband is attracted to someone that he works with, is it okay for him to say that to his wife?
If his wife can handle it.
Yeah. I used to say, yeah, just tell her
some
everything.
people can't handle
but
it.
some people can't handle it.
Yeah.
The reason that I would say yes as a man, because whenever I confess something, the power of it is gone, it diminished. Okay.
Yeah.
So if your husband's ever telling you that, hey, this person I work with, watch me, pray for me, so forth and so on, it's not for you to be insecure, because if he wanted her, he wouldn't say anything. I guess I always like ladies to know that a silent man is worse than a man that's confessing and saying stuff. But then you do have to use wisdom, because if you're married to somebody super insecure, then she's going to be like, oh, what does that mean? And so I don't know if I would suggest that anymore.
I mean, I would suggest to the husband, like, if there's somebody at work, like, tell your wife, come have lunch with me at my job today. And,
I don't know. I would say if there's somebody at work, ask to be moved. See if you can get another job, and then, depending on what the temptation is like.
Right.
Now, to me, you should be able to work and not, with the temptation. It just depends on where you are, though. I'm just trying to give real life help. Like, why does that happen?
But then also that's why you have someone who holds you accountable. You have a pastor. You have someone that you can trust with these things. Hey, there's someone at work that I feel like I'm attractive to.
Like,
your counselor.
Men need more men.
Yeah.
Men need men.
Because a man's going to tell you from a man's perspective.
Bruh,
yeah.
You doing what? Okay, this is what you need to do about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you can tell your wife that depending on where her maturity or handling level is. But if you got other guys around you, it just, what I'm saying is that it's the temptation of it. It takes away the power of it because you confess it. It's almost like, how they say, sin in the dark, it kind of festers.
Yes.
And tell on sin before it tells on you.
Yes.
The thought of telling actually diminishes it a little bit. That's just an opinion. But anyway, 9, deal with wounds and conflict quickly. Don't let the sun go down while you're angry. I think we do a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, I think anger just grows. It never dies out.
Yeah.
Like, it just grows.
And number 10, of course, is make God the center of your marriage. Because if you want to affair-proof your marriage, you got to put Jesus at the center. He's the one that made this whole marriage thing up. Because I believe this about marriage is that it's not just natural. This is a spiritual relationship we have. And there is demons that are assigned to try to stop this holy covenant. And if I understand that, the weapons of my warfare are not carnal. They're not natural.
Right.
So if I'm going to be good as a husband, and we're going to keep this covenant of marriage together for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we must know how to suit up with spiritual armor to win spiritual battles. And I got to keep God at the center.
Yeah.
And I think the way that I love you is because I love God. The reason that I honor you is because I honor God. And the reason that I've been faithful for 23 years is because I've been faithful to God.
Absolutely.
If you show me a man or a woman that stops being faithful to God, it will trickle over into other relationships.
Right.
Keep Jesus at the center of it all.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just being faithful to God.
Yeah.
Because, I know that you love me.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit up here, oh, baby, I love you, and be texting somebody else. God sees that.
Yeah.
That ain't got nothing to do with you. This has to do with me and my relationship with God. I'm not sneaking off to some hotel somewhere, meeting somebody around the corner at the Chick-fil-A or something. And no, God sees that. I'm not looking over, I wonder if people from my church is here. No, God is here. Everywhere I go, I am not living for people. I'm living for the audience of one. And if we can really live with that God-centeredness, a lot of the other stuff that we do in the private, it goes away. Because I'm not churchy at all. Like, I'm not here for performance.
Right.
I could care less if you like me or if you don't like me. I need to hear him say, well done.
Right.
If we can raise up people that have that kind of mentality, I believe the world will be a better place. We're out of time for today, people. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, right now, if you don't mind, would you share this episode with other married people? Even if you're single, share it. We believe that sharing is caring, caring is sharing. You know, God's given us a vision to help reach 1 million married couples. And to do that, we know that we need partners just like you who are being blessed by the content, that would just get on fire and have small groups and share and comment and review and like. That's the way that we're able to reach more people. So I want to say thank you in advance for being a part of our family. You know, our vision, of course, was to help people grow closer to God and closer to the people that God has placed in their life. And if you found value in our content, hit the subscribe button very quickly, hit the follow button, write us an email, share your story with us. We want to know who you are. You know, there's people that write in all the time. This person here wrote in, and I think their name is Rachel Ross. Thank you both for being transparent in your podcast. I've subscribed, and I'm adding the tools that you all provide to my toolbox. I'm not married yet, but will be in 8 days.
Wow.
Come on. And I want all healthy, thriving relationship. You are in the right place. We know that God has plans for us so that we can be used in ministry. Marriage is daily work, and we will keep God in the center of it, and he'll get the glory. Keep being an instrument to all of us so that we can all make a difference in other people's lives. God bless you, and thank you for all you do in the marriage community. We love you.
I love it.
And we're so honored to be able to do life with you. All right. If you're ever in Florida, come worship with us at a live church. For more information about our service times and locations, there's a link in the show notes. Also, we got some books. We got a new book out, guys. We got some pamphlets. We got some merch. We got boot camps and master classes. All of these are tools to bring value to your life. Go over to kenandtabitha.com and just kind of scroll to and see if there's anything that sticks out to you that you believe would be a blessing to you. Just know that you're not alone. Tabitha and our entire team is praying for you. And we'll see you again next Thursday. Love you. Peace.